Welcome back to Oh Wow, That's Why. We believe that you noticed something terrifying brewing in the Middle East. In April 2024, Iran fired over 300 missiles and drones directly at Israel. Israel struck back, and for the first time in history, the two countries officially entered a direct military confrontation. No more shadow games, no more deniability. This was real. So how did we get here? Why do Israel and Iran hate each other so much? And are we standing at the edge of another Middle Eastern war? One that could go global. Let's find out. Believe it or not, Iran and Israel used to be not enemies. Back in the 1950s and 60s, when Iran was still ruled by the Shah, Iran and Israel had covert trade deals, oil partnerships, and shared intelligence. They weren't BFFs, but they were definitely cordial. They exchanged military technology, collaborated on infrastructure, and even aligned politically against pan-Arab movements. Then came 1979. The Iranian Revolution overthrew the Shah and established an Islamic Republic led by Ayatollah Khomeini. This new government had a radical new worldview. The US is the great Satan. Israel is the little Satan. They saw Israel not just as a political enemy, but a religious one, an illegitimate state occupying Muslim land. Over the next few decades, this ideological opposition became institutionalized. Iran's constitution even includes a clause supporting oppressed Muslims worldwide, often code for groups that oppose Israel. Since then, Iran has called for Israel's destruction on more than one occasion, and Israel, well, they never forgot that. Here's the weird part. Israel and Iran don't even share a border, but their conflict has spilled over everywhere. Iran backs proxy groups that fight Israel directly. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, militias in Syria and Iraq. Through these groups, Iran has created a corridor of influence stretching from Tehran to the Mediterranean. They've armed militias with rockets, drones, and funding, sometimes even with precision guidance systems. Israel, on the other hand, has adopted a doctrine of preemption. It regularly bombs Iranian weapons convoys, training camps, drone factories, and missile silos. These strikes often happen in Syria, and occasionally even deeper. Then there's the spy game. Mossad operations inside Iran are legendary, from stealing nuclear archives in 2018 to assassinating top scientists in broad daylight. Iran has retaliated with cyber attacks on Israeli infrastructure, including water systems and financial institutions. This isn't just a Cold War, it's a hot proxy war with plausible deniability, until now. Iran claims its nuclear program is peaceful. Israel says, yeah, right. Israel sees a nuclear Iran as an existential threat. Remember, Israel is the size of New Jersey. One bomb could wipe out the country. That's not paranoia, that's math. Back in 1981, Israel bombed Iraq's nuclear reactor. In 2007, Syria's. And they've made it clear, if Iran gets close, they'll do it again. But Iran's nuclear facilities are not like Iraq's or Syria's. They're spread out, hardened, deep underground, and closely guarded. And Iran, it's closer than ever to weapons-grade enrichment. As of 2025, inspectors suggest uranium purity may have crossed 90% in secret sites. The 2015 JCPOA nuclear deal is dead. Diplomatic channels are failing. Sanctions hurt, but haven't stopped progress. Tick-tock. In early April 2024, Israel targeted a building in Damascus that turned out to house top Iranian commanders from the Quds Force. Iran responded with something unprecedented. It launched 300+ drones and missiles directly at Israeli territory. This wasn't Hezbollah, this wasn't a proxy, this was Iran itself. Israel, aided by the US, UK, Jordan, and even Saudi Arabia, intercepted most of the attacks. But the shock was real. This was the first time Iran officially attacked Israel head-on. Days later, Israel struck deep into Iran, targeting sites near Isfahan, close to their uranium enrichment facilities. No casualties, but a message. We can reach you. The age of ambiguity? Over. Let's get to the heart of it. What's this all really about? Iran wants the US and Israel out of the Middle East, to lead a Shiite crescent stretching from Iran to Lebanon, to be the spiritual and political leader of the Muslim world. Israel wants to prevent Iranian nuclear capability, to dismantle Iran's proxy networks, to maintain its qualitative military edge in the region, and these aren't negotiable goals. Each side believes their survival depends on stopping the other, and neither trusts diplomacy to do the job. This isn't just about Tehran and Tel Aviv. The US is Israel's staunchest ally, but wants to avoid direct war. Russia works with Iran and Syria and would love to see Western influence eroded. China claims neutrality, but buys Iranian oil and quietly courts Gulf states. A broader war could disrupt 30% of global oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, spike energy prices worldwide, prompt global recession, inspire regional uprisings or new terror networks. Even countries not involved in the war could feel its heat through trade, migration, or cyberattacks. Hezbollah isn't just a threat, it's a fuse. Armed with over 100,000 rockets trained by Iran's IRGC and dug in across southern Lebanon, they're poised for war. If Israel strikes Iran too hard, Hezbollah could unleash hell on Israeli cities. That means air raid sirens from Haifa to Jerusalem, schools closed, airports shut, chaos. Israel would retaliate, likely leveling parts of Beirut and southern Lebanon in response. This wouldn't be a front, it'd be a furnace. Sometimes wars happen, not because of foreign threats, but domestic weakness. In Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu faces protests over judicial reform and corruption scandals. A war can unite a divided country. In Iran, inflation, youth unrest, and international isolation are breeding discontent. The regime might welcome a distraction or a chance to redirect rage. When leaders are desperate, diplomacy dies, and wars become political theater. Let's talk about June 2025. On June 4th, Iran launched ballistic missiles at Israeli military bases in the Negev desert. Israel responded by bombing targets near Shiraz and Isfahan. It was no longer a border skirmish, it was open war. Days later, June 13th, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, targeting Iraq, Natanz, and Tehran military HQs. June 15th, Iran and Houthi rebels fired missiles at Tel Aviv and Be'er Sheva. A direct hit on Soroka Medical Center injured over 240 civilians. June 16th to 19th, Israel responded with strikes on Revolutionary Guard compounds, intelligence centers, and missile silos. Hezbollah entered the fight, Israel retaliated heavily across Lebanon, and the countdown ended, the war began. This isn't just bombs and borders, this is 21st century warfare. Phase 1, missile saturation and drone swarms. Iron Dome struggles to keep up. Phase 2, cyberattacks paralyze airports, banks, water systems. Chaos spreads. Phase 3, oil shipments halted. Strait of Hormuz closed. Global energy panic. Phase 4, terror attacks abroad. Europe, Asia, and the US feel the ripple. Phase 5, infrastructure collapse. Power grids, fuel depots, telecom towers. No soldiers, just shockwaves. Maybe. Qatar, Oman, and Turkey are trying to mediate. The US and China are pressuring both sides. But trust is dead, and neither side wants to look weak. Can Iran pause enrichment? Can Israel stop targeting generals? Can Hezbollah sit out? If even one says no, this fire keeps burning. And this time, it may not stay in the Middle East. Thanks for watching. Oh wow, that's why. The show that turns world tension into a binge-worthy breakdown. Smash that like button, subscribe for more geodrama, and let us know in the comments. Do you think Israel and Iran are already at war, just without calling it one? And if you're in charge of one side, would you launch the next strike or call for a truce? Drop your thoughts below, we'll be watching closely. See you next time, hopefully before the next missile.